I'm Ken Collis. I'll be giving an informative speech today for Southeast Community College. Since your family, you guys all know me, but I'm Ken, and today I'll be giving a speech on what I do at Waterworks as an intern. When I'm at Waterworks, they normally have the year broken down into 7 tasks that you complete, and one of the main tasks I did this year was less sites, and that is looking up data and figuring out what pipes are running through contaminated soil. If you find contaminated soil, you have to see if it's a PVC pipe or a metal pipe. If it's a PVC pipe, that has to be put into the budget to be replaced, whereas a metal one can be put in and it will not be contaminated through the soil. Once a PVC pipe has been contaminated once, even if you clean it, it is more vulnerable to being contaminated again a lot quicker this time. Another job I do is surveying, and that will be anything from a parking lot to figure out how much elevation you have to put on the concrete when the new concrete is coming in, or how much soil has to be removed from the drainage area so the water is running properly. Another surveying thing would be taking the GPS and going out into the field and figuring out for erosion control. One example of this was where a culvert came out. All the water that came through the culvert last year from the a little bit of flooding they had at the beginning of the year before the drought kicked in, and that caused all the rocks and a couple of the trees to tip over and erode all the soil away that was previous there. This was a problem for them because now their fence wasn't doing anything because all the creatures could go right up underneath the fence where the soil used to be. Another job that comes into play a lot is pipe to soil potential. This is like my last presentation I gave at work, and this is taking different test stations that have been set up, and the test stations are set up on PVC piping about 3 foot off the ground with a blue cap on it. When you get to the blue cap, you remove it, and you'll hook up to different wires in different orders to read the anode measurement, the anode in the pipe measurement, and just the pipe measurement. And it'll give you voltage on your little multimeter to write down on the form to return to the engineer so they know how different test stations are acting and how the soil and the pipe are acting so to prevent corrosion. The more corrosive soil you have, the more anodes you want to put in to prevent the soil from corroding the pipe. This has been proven to make the pipes last 2 or even 3 times longer than their original date that they were supposed to be removed and replaced in. This cuts down on main breaks, and so in the end it cuts down on costs. Throwing a $1,000 anode in every 30-40 feet compared to having to replace a main every 50 years costing tens of thousands of dollars for a little section really makes up for itself. Some other things that I've been doing this year is plan design. Last week I worked on designing a culvert for a specific amount of water that must be taken in through a wall so you can raise a lake the same amount as the river rising. You want this to occur so you don't get washout when the river is rising 1.7 feet an hour and then the lake's not filling up, and then you have the river washing over into the lake, eroding the soil again, and now you have contamination problems for the pipe, water that's going to be used. And it just, by leaving the contamination out, it just cuts down on costs for the plant and the treatment people, and it's just easier to get out to the clients in just a much faster way. Some of the more boring work you might do when it happens is kind of on the downtime. It's interesting, but you personally don't do much, is working with the techs. And the techs, when the first couple weeks when you start, is really interesting because you're learning to see what the techs do and what you're designing for the techs. This will be going out in the field and having them GPS pipe being laid in that the engineers designed, or watching them just do little jobs here and there. It's interesting to see, but it's one of those, it's a little bit more slower once you've seen it once or twice and you don't personally get to do anything. But those are a couple of the jobs that you get to do at Waterworks, and it's really good internship and it keeps you busy during the year.